Welcome back to ADHD Whiskey. My name is Matt, and today we are diving into a rare, collectible bourbon that's made to enjoy. Today we are drinking a brand new bourbon release from a man from Louisiana. He's known for calf kicks, breaking Irishmen's legs. He's the former interim lightweight champion of the UFC. This is Dustin Poirier's brand new bourbon called Rare Stash. This comes in a bottle that resembles a Woodford Reserve bottle by its shape and by its little faux tack strip, by its little emblem thing there, and by the label at the bottom. It kind of looks like a Woodford Reserve bottle a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean, it definitely looks like a Woodford Reserve bottle. Rare Stash, artfully crafted in the USA. This bourbon is 45.5% alcohol by volume, 91 proof, and it is a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys. Whew. America. Whew. Rare Stash takes unique, select, and specifically limited barrels of bourbon that we've found and set aside to artfully craft bourbon that is uniquely rare in its form, age, taste, and availability. If that didn't make a whole lot of sense, that might be a start of a trend here today. Produced and bottled by Rare Stash, Statesville, North Carolina, USA. Brendan Schaub, who also has a new whiskey out on the market, which I will be reviewing very shortly, posted on his Instagram page about Dustin Poirier's new bourbon. So I went to the website and I waited for the release date. The website that we will go deep diving into here in a few minutes didn't really give a lot of information about the product itself. What type of bourbon is this? Is this a wheated bourbon? They didn't say, so I did not know. Also, no mention of age on this bourbon, although they did mention that it was aged for a lengthy amount of time. Another important piece of information that was left off the website was where this bourbon came from. I figured that those questions would be answered as soon as I got the bottle in my hands. Unfortunately, no. Wow. Oatmeal. Strong instant oatmeal. It's like you mixed a peach packet of instant oatmeal with an apple packet of instant oatmeal because you were hungry enough for 2 bags of instant oats, but you didn't have 2 of the same kind. So you got a little bit risky on a Tuesday and mixed peach and apple together. It's very bright. Not a lot of dark, bourbony notes are coming off of here. We're getting a lot of young, bright, spritzy notes on the nose. There's a little bit of the traditional bourbon brown sugar on here. A little bit of brown sugar. It really does smell like an oatmeal breakfast. Damn unibrow. Has a little bit of a citrusy soda vibe. Like a cherry 7-Up. Yeah. First impression of the nose, this does not necessarily smell like you would expect a $100 rare and collectible bourbon to smell. Smells a bit young. It does have some crafty notes to it. It smells a little bit grassy. It smells a little bit crafty. This bottle does not have an age statement. Therefore, the bourbon in this bottle, by law, must be a minimum of 4 years old. It says that it's produced and bottled in Statesville, North Carolina. So I did a little digging and I found a distillery in Statesville, North Carolina. It's called Southern Distilling Company. I reached out to Southern Distilling Company on the old Instagram and I was like, hey, super quick question. Is this your stuff? And they replied back and said, we are a proud partner of Rare Stash. And I was like, great. That answers that. All right, $100 down the hatch. Rare Stash, meet Matt's stash. That's different. Oatmeal's back. Oh wow, especially on the finish. Whew. I'm a gigantic, unhealthy man who loves a complex bourbon. if it's complex in a good way. Let's say I packed my fat ass into a little Lotus. A little Lotus, it's like a go-kart. And I just let her rip. Into the curve. Curve. Bank in the curve. A curvy road is fun if you're not in a white Ford Transit van. Unfortunately, this curvy road is a bit Ford Transit van-like. It's a bit sloppy. It's not great. This sort of feels like I ordered a Lotus and was delivered a Geo Storm. This might be their weeded mash bill. This could possibly be their weeded mash bill. This tastes crafty. It tastes a little bit farmy, a little bit. There is a funk on here, a bit of a funk that could be attributed to the wheat, if there is wheat in this mash bill. If there's not wheat in this mash bill, then I don't know what to attribute the Funky McFunkerton to. But there is a bit of a funk. It's a little bit bitter, a little bit sour. This isn't a bourbon that you're gonna sit down and just nose all day because it doesn't really smell that great. I'm trying to tiptoe around the fact that this isn't great because I don't want to hurt the people's feelings at Southern Distilling Company, but it's not their fault. It's definitely not their fault. My blood pressure is increasing at very unhealthy rates because the more I think about this product, the more upset I get. I think we need to hear an interview with Dustin Poirier about this whiskey. I want to know how much of a hand he had in this product because there's a problem. There's a major problem here. If you want to spend your money on a craft distillery's product that's rather young, and you know that going in, that's totally fine. But you son of a bitch. The whiskey in this bottle is not marketed as a young craft distillate. This bourbon is marketed as a rare collectible bourbon. Let's take a gander into the Rare Stash website. TheRareStash.com, the world-class collectible bourbon that's meant to enjoy. First of all, not world-class bourbon. It's not world-class bourbon. It's a young craft distillate. Let's start there. I am betting you that whoever made this bourbon, whoever distilled it and aged it, would agree that their product at this point is not a world-class bourbon. Every once in a while, you look around and realize you're in a moment you'll remember for the rest of your life. Those rare moments call for a rare bourbon. After unearthing limited barrels of straight bourbon whiskey, we've artfully crafted a limited edition collector bourbon that's meant to enjoy. Buzzwords, buzzword, 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 you bitches, buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. Unearthing limited barrels? Literally, you're saying you unearthed limited barrels from a brand new distillery in Statesville, North Carolina. You didn't do it. You didn't do it. You just didn't do that. That's a lie. It'd be like going to Lowe's and buying a 2x4 off the rack and then claiming that you got a rare and limited piece of lumber that you unearthed. You didn't unearth shit. You went to Lowe's, damn it, and you bought a friggin' piece of wood. And you told your friends it came from George Washington's apple tree, asshole. Rare Stash Bourbon is a unique and rare collection of artfully crafted bourbons from limited and rare lots, stashes, of bourbon and whiskey. Bourbon and whiskey? Bourbon is whiskey. And if there's any other whiskey in this blend, then bourbon? It's not a straight bourbon. Either your website is dumb or your website should shut its mouth before it gets you in trouble. Which one is it? Blood pressure increasing to dangerous levels. Each release is unique as we allow the natural qualities of the bourbon ingredients and the purity of the distillate to harmonize with each unique barrel it's aged in during the aging process. Ingredients? The bourbon ingredients only include grains and water. If there's any other ingredients in your bourbon, then it's not straight bourbon. Rare Stash doesn't blend its bourbon to taste the same from bottle to bottle like many others do. Instead, we allow the natural character of the bourbon ingredients and barrel along with the climate it's aged in to be realized in each Rare Stash bourbon offering. Your website says you're not blending, but your bottle says it's a blend. Notes of scent and flavor. The initial taste experience is intense, yet balanced and smooth, followed by a complex palette of flavors that engulf and round out the mouth. A complex palette of flavors? Could you give me one? Could you give me one? No? Maybe they didn't want to tell you it tasted like cow shit, so they left that out. I don't know, not a doctor. From the state-of-the-art craft batch distillation process that produces the purest distillate to the highest quality of perfectly charred oak barrels used for aging, that's not even a sentence. That sentence isn't even a sentence. Seems like you're all pretty good with words. Do you mind going into a little bit of detail about this state-of-the-art craft batch distillation process? Those two words were just put in there for buzzwords. Craft batch doesn't mean anything. Dustin Poirier put his name on a $100 bottle of lies, and that kind of sucks. The website also states that each stave in the barrel comes from a different tree. Are we talking like a different type of tree, or are we talking like a different oak tree? Maybe if that's true, you want to go into a little bit more detail about what the hell you're talking about. That's great to almost know. We are in what some people would consider to be my state-of-the-art craft batch reviewing process. And unfortunately, it's not going too great for Rare Stash bourbon. The main marketing point on this bourbon is that it's rare and collectible. What makes a bottle of bourbon rare and collectible? For a bottle to be collectible, it should have like maybe one of a few things. Like maybe it's sentimental. Like they put a barreling date and a bottling date on it. And then the bottling date or the barreling date matches a special date in your life that has sentimental value to you. That would make a bottle collectible. A bottle could be part of a series. Like every year, a new batch comes out, and you gotta have the batches. You gotta have batch 1 and batch 2 and batch 3, series 1, series 2, series 3. A lot of really famous bourbons have batches. They're part of a series. It makes them collectible because you wanna have them all. How about a gimmick that comes with the bottle? Like for example, this Blanton's. These horsey top stoppers on Blanton's have letters on them, and then you collect all the letters. It spells Blanton's. And then when you collect them all, you send them to the distillery and they send you back a prize. That is a collectible bottle. By the way, this bottle is also hard to find and could have sentimental value because it shares bottling dates on it. It's rare, you can collect all the horsies, it's in high demand, and it comes from a desirable distillery. It comes from a place that produces great bourbon that people want. People want the bourbon inside this bottle, making this bottle more collectible than just a standard bottle of bourbon. Other bottles that people would collect are single barrels because they're all unique. Blanton's is a single barrel, which puts this bugger at the top of the collectability list. Some people collect single barrels that were chosen by their favorite stores or maybe by their favorite YouTube channels. Click on the Patreon link above and have access to ADHD Whiskey single barrels. Collect them all. Now let's talk about Rare Stash. The website clearly states that this is a collectible bottle. Of all the things I just talked about, this bottle has absolutely none of that. Zero. There's no indication on here that it's a specific batch. You have no idea if this bottle is any different than any other bottle of Rare Stash. The whiskey in this bottle isn't sought after. It's not a single barrel. There's no possible way that this bottle could hold sentimental value in any sort of way to anybody. Unless, of course, you want to do Dustin Poirier. There's no collectability factor to it. Your friends come over and they're like, oh, you like that Rare Stash bourbon? You have a lot of those bottles. As a matter of fact, I'm a collector of Rare Stash bourbon. That is so cool. What makes them rare and collectible? And you say, well, it says rare on it, and they told me it was collectible. They said that. Do you think that your customer is stupid? Your website is gimmicky, it's full of bullshit. There's no information given, it's full of buzzwords and bullshit. This bottle is overpriced by probably $80. Last year, my doctor had me collect stool samples, and those samples were a more interesting collection than if I had 3 bottles of this. And that's not me joking. If you're gonna collect shit, then you might as well collect the good stuff. I don't take bourbon super seriously, but I do take my money seriously. And I do take my viewers' money seriously. If you want to charge $100 for your bourbon, then you need to get your bourbon from a different place. Somebody who's been aging bourbon longer. If you're going to claim that your bourbon is worth $100 because it's collectible, then at least make it collectible. You can't just say it's collectible and make it collectible. This is not $100 whiskey, not even close. The bottle is not collectible in the least bit, not even close. Here, I did something for you. How about this? I just bought a bottle of Dustin Poirier's new Rare Stash bourbon. Look, it came in this beautiful black box. Mother of tits. Tonight, my score for the collectible Rare Stash bourbon. The whiskey inside the bottle receives a score of 5.6. 5.6 for the bourbon inside the bottle. The marketing and the website receives a score of Rex because it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Super sorry. This is the first Rex I've ever given out. Dustin Poirier, don't hang your head in shame. You can fix this. You can fix it. Southern Distilling Company, not your fault. Unless, of course, you wrote the words on the website, in which case, shame on you. My name is Matt. This is ADHD Whiskey, and like I always say, keep your head in the clouds, but your mind on just being honest and genuine. Not selling words, not selling lies, but selling the truth and being transparent and honest. People like that. The less transparent you are about what's in this bottle, the more shady it makes your business look. Super sorry.